Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So I know that we had on the schedule to talk about the Gateway to Everywhere tonight, but many of our senior students are not here, and I'm will deliver that perhaps next week or the week after. You would have to have some knowledge of the text that I would be talking about in order to understand what I am saying. So I'm opting to give that particular talk another night. But there's for all that we are, quiet and silent in our practice, there's always something to talk about, it seems, in Zen. So we can immediately talk about Zazen and what we are doing here and what we were intending as we sat tonight on the cushion. It seems as though we sit and do nothing and it doesn't have any meaning, but this is not the case at all, particularly when we think about the world we are in and the need to bring spiritual resonance and sending spiritual direction all over, especially our United States right now, which is not the neediest place. The Sudan is perhaps the most critical place on the planet right now, but we have wars going on in other places, and so they're very much in our consciousness and in the need to include them in our practice and in the light that we send out from our practice. So Zazen is not about just sitting and doing nothing. When we sit, for most of us, there is chatter going on in our heads. And that takes some time to come to terms with and to figure out how to deal with it. And I got asked last Saturday, do I sit and do I have talking going on all of the time? And no, I don't. I do when I first come to the cushion, and then it quiets down. And then I have a pretty good long period of no thinking, of just no thoughts coming. Maybe some images come, but I am not doing the chatter. Of course, my brain is thinking because I'm here doing this, but the chatter quiets down. And how do I personally do that? Well, I have given orientation way, way, way back, and I talk about, do you remember about the breath, first of all? Do you remember when you played hide and go seek? And did you play hide and go seek at your own home, at your house? Yeah? So typically you hid in a closet, right? Someplace like that. And then what did you do? You quieted your breath as much as possible, and you heard the footsteps of the person coming around you, and you just held your quietest breath possible. And what else were you doing that is so important in Zazen? The breath, yes, that particular style of breathing. What else were you doing? You were
being still.
You were listening. You were absolutely listening to those footsteps. And you were listening to what that person's sneaking up on you, trying to find you. And you breathed so quietly so that they would not discover you there. And in that breath, you were sort of not extending yourself in a way. You didn't want too much presence to let them think, oh, I feel somebody there. But it's the listening is the key. And deep listening in Zazen is very, very essential to listen to the world around us, to be able to hear one another sitting in silence, and to hear the birds sing or whatever is happening around us. Maybe you hear somebody move something. So that deep listening quiets the mind. You can't deep listen and think at the same time. And I know you are from Redfin. Are you from Red Wing?
Red Wing, yes.
Of course. And say your name because I know you're from Steve. Sorry. I saw you and I thought, oh my goodness, this is an old friend who is visiting from Red Wing. And where is Red Wing?
Pardon?
Where is Red Wing?
It's about 55 miles south and a little bit east of Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Okay.
And right on Mississippi River.
Okay, all right. Well, I was so happy to see you because we don't get to see you very often. But this is an old practitioner who moved back home, essentially, to Red Wing. And we all know Red Wing because they produce those wonderful boots, right? Anyway, I just wanted to acknowledge that your presence here. But so deep listening then is key to quieting the brain, and so that it doesn't trouble us, so that we don't feel that we have been present to this essential practice. And in that deep listening, we can feel ourselves extend into the world beyond us. We can listen to the greater world that is there. That's part of the talk that I will speak about next week or the week after, about extending ourselves and realizing the universality of this practice and the universality of the nature of Zen and Buddhism, the practice that we are all one body and that we feel one another's lives together. And I want to say also, in the practice of deep listening, when we are doing that and we are so concentrated on deep listening, we don't worry so much about our legs. We don't really feel what the rest of the body is doing, in a sense. We settled it down and we allow it to be in place. And our knees disappear and we don't worry about what might be just aching in other parts of the body, and of course as we hold the posture. So this is very key. It's maybe the first question that so many people ask when they come to practice, like how can I quiet my brain and not think about all the stuff that comes up when we sit Zazen. And to me that is a key practice, to listen deeply. When we are, so let me get that a little bit further. When I mean listen, because when we sit and we feel the chatter, we're listening to the chatter. And I mean listening beyond our own selves, listening to the world around us, listening to one another. I had students come from the world religions class where I was teaching quite a few years ago, many years ago. And one of the students came into class the next day and she said, I couldn't take it. She says, the cacophony of sound from everybody. Their stomachs were growling and they were breathing hard. And it was the cacophony of it. I said, could we moderate the cacophony word? Maybe not quite a cacophony, but that girl was listening and she didn't know how excellent that was. But she was truly listening to the people around her. And that is our practice then, to listen to the heart of presence around us, and to listen to the presence of the birds and the trees blowing and anything that is happening is part of our waking up, part of our being present. So questions about this, please? Or about anything?
I don't have quite a question.
Yes.
I've come over time to experience the body as clouds. From the inside, it feels like a more true experience that it's clouds. Which is good for me, fine with me.
Sure, yeah. Well, the thing is that that's what we are.
Yeah.
You know, the body is insubstantial. This is the teaching in Zen and in Buddhism, that we are insubstantial. We are a body of energy. And even though we look like something, we're really just energy.
Yeah, it
And-
came over time, excuse me.
No, go ahead.
Came over time by just continuing to ask the question, what is it really like? You know, what is it really like? No form, in a sense, moving form. Don't know, but
Yeah. And of course, we know that the clouds tend to dissipate and
change.
yeah, change and move and so forth. Just as we continue, we appear to be sitting still, but everybody's moving in some way. Your body is moving, your insides are moving, your stomach is moving, you're digesting, and there's slight movement in the body. Maybe 2 or 3 times during the period, we check our posture and very, very subtly and quietly check our posture and make sure that we are aligned and straight. And if we're not, we fix it and sit. And but we're always moving, something always moving. And even after we die, the body is moving. Your hair continues to grow and your nails continue to grow for 3 days after you die. So even in death, we are moving and disintegrating. And that's all movement. So we were talking about this last Saturday, the question of, weren't we? Was that it? Of movement, that everything, the world is continually moving and we are also constantly in motion. So we sit still and yet we are moving. How fast are we moving in spinning? 24,000 miles an hour.
Relative, right?
24,000 miles an hour we are moving every day. And then I don't know how quickly we move around the sun. Anybody know that one? But we are moving in a great, great, great circle. Spinning and moving in this great circle. So we could be aware of it if you want to. You can certainly feel or sense that motion, perhaps with some act of the imagination. As I say, I have lain down on the grass in the park, looked up at the sky, and felt as if I could feel that. And it's a great experience to do. I recommend it. And so sometimes I can feel that sense. And so we are always moving, just continual motion of our lives, of the situations of our lives, and of the relationships in our lives are continually in motion. And we are something different every day and every time. So this teaching that we are always I never can remember that word. That we can't hold on to anything. Impermanent, thank you. We are impermanent in that sense. And truly, so this practice of sitting on this cushion with nothing else to hold on to helps us to allow ourselves to experience and to understand of impermanence. There's nothing to hold on to. I mean, we settle ourselves with our pivotal knees and our back on the cushion, and that, that tripod allows us to sit and settle ourselves, but there's nothing to hold on to. And so we begin to feel that not attaching to anything and that sense of impermanence. And, in many ways, we want to hold on to something. We want to feel secure, and we want to feel connected to something. And we are connected, there's no doubt about that, but we are impermanent even in that connection. We're going to get up off that cushion. And then how we carry ourselves forward in that impermanence and in that not attaching to the moment and trying to hold on to it is our practice. So.
Is it elusive? I'm thinking of the hair's breadth deviation that Dogen Zenji talks about, and whether the problem I run into for myself is thinking that that's somehow a measure of self in a diminished kind of fashion. Oh, you're a hair's breadth off all the time. And, but is it more of just a fact of the present moment, that it requires nothing but itself? And
Yeah, well, I think sometimes if we feel that way, it's because we want some sense of perfection out of this too, and that's not there. It's just not in anything. Because it is constantly in motion, it's not going to stay still. And so we want it to, we want to hold on to that, and it's going to move right away from us again.
But it's the opposite of elusive, perhaps. It is a priority. It is the fact. The present moment is the only true.
Yeah,
So
right.
it's not-
And then it's already gone from what you said.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. And at the same time, we have to live in this world, and we have to take care of the day. We have to take care of our bodies and our lives and our work and our families and so forth. And so we do need to live within that stability at the same time, and provide that stability so that we don't go cuckoo either. Although this man over here lives on a boat, so he rocks. You rock.
You rock.
That, even before I lived on the boat.
You rocked.
Yeah.
So you have very much a sense of, of that feeling of you're not on the ground, and you're on the great power of the ocean at the same time. But I couldn't do that. I'm a land lover. So yeah, you get very much a sense of that, and you feel the power of water, which is the most powerful element. So. But you also have the opportunity to see the sky in the way that the landlubbers around trees don't get to see. So, yeah. So I encourage all of us to continue to explore, to receive the practice of Zazen in ourselves. When we come to the cushion, we seat ourselves in Zazen, and we open our whole entire being to Zazen. And in doing that, it teaches us, and it shows us the way if we but do that, if we just listen to Zazen itself. And Zazen is everything that is happening. Zazen is our listening to everything that is happening. And it is so simple that we can miss it if we're not careful. So any other question of any kind?
I don't know if you can hear me on Zoom.
Roman?
Man. Can you hear me okay?
Can't hear you. Fletcher's going to fix the,
Good old Zoom. Always being Zoom.
Testing. Can you hear me now?
Now we should hear you.
okay, Roman,
All
yeah,
right. Testing. Can you hear me? Testing.
barely, but go ahead. I'll translate to everybody after you ask. Yeah, go ahead. Or say,
Okay. I don't know if I missed it because my laptop cut out for a bit, but I was going to ask a question about practicing when you're not in an environment that you can be totally, in Zen, out in the cushion, in the forest. Like as I'm traveling, I'm makeshifting spaces and doing my best to practice with maybe more distractions.
Mhm.
So how does that differ for anything you want to say about that?
Okay, so the question is, how do you practice when you're in an environment that doesn't allow silence? So you're in a chaotic situation or you're traveling, something like that. What is practice? Well, my feeling is that when you are practicing, when you are traveling, you are just traveling. And I know that that's not a satisfying answer to you, but you're just traveling. And you're in the situation of people going everywhere, especially the chaos of our airport or someplace like that. But if we listen to the under body of it, listen to the silence underneath the chaos. For instance, we know very well that when children are out in a playground and they're running around and they're doing everything and they're jumping, some are jumping rope and some are playing ball and they're all screaming, they resonate on the same note. It's been examined and it's true. They resonate on the same note. It all comes down to one note. And so if we can hear the universe like that in a chaotic situation, or try to, that's an act of listening then, trying to listen to that one note in the chaos of the airport. It allows us to not be caught up in our own selves, but to hear perhaps, let me call it a universal tone, a universal note that we're all expressing. Because there is a note that the universe is making. Anybody know, is it a B flat or something? It's true that it makes a certain, is it a B flat? F sharp?
No, but it's of course the origin of Om.
Yeah. So did you hear Fletcher say that? The origin of Om is that note. So that's one thing you could do in the midst of chaos. And let it be. Just let people do their thing and you hear them sing a particular note.
And if anything, there's noise canceling headphones.
I say again, yeah.
If anything, there's noise canceling headphones.
Oh, this is true. Noise, you can hear that? Noise canceling headphones. That's true. That's true. That's true. So, yeah, good luck. I come into the same going through an airport, and it's tough. It's tough practice to go through that, but that's what I offer, is to just allow that to be, and it's temporary. That's the other thing. It's temporary. So you just move through it. Yeah. So thank you, Roman. Okay, all right.